Hey, welcome back to the third and hopefully final video on creating a Heroes of Might and Magic style combat in ATBTT. So the last time we set it up so that we had stacks, and that these stacks they reduce when we are attacked, and when it reaches 0, yeah, I won't bother to go all the way there, but then the unit dies. But we're missing the Heroes of Might and Magic feature of units that have larger stacks should deal more damage. So we could do this. We can do this through an ability. I'm going to use the move attack ability as the base for this. That's the one that the units here are using by default, since it's pretty close to what is the sort of ability they have in Heroes of Might and Magic anyway. I could create a child of this, but let's create a duplicate. I mean, if you were making your own Heroes of Might and Magic style game, you probably want to duplicate this so it's simpler to modify all of the stuff to your needs, since there are many other like specific things to this sort of ability in Heroes of Might and Magic that you might want. So I'll just call this ability HoMM. So lots of stuff we can modify here, but the relevant bit that we're interested in is what happens in executability, really. So this is where we attack the target and deal a certain amount of damage. So we don't just want to deal damage, we want to deal damage based on the size of our stacks. So we can implement that here directly and multiply by stack size or so on, but it would probably make more sense to have this as a function in our Heroes of Might and Magic unit. So let's add a new function, and I'll call this, oops, why does this keep happening? If someone knows how to prevent this weird bug from happening when creating a new variable, please let me know in the comments below. But let's see, so get stack damage, I'll call it. So this will be a really simple function that just returns damage, and it then takes the damage variable of our unit and multiplies it by the stack size, and returns this as damage. And I'll make this a pure function, so it's a bit simpler to use. So yeah, very quick and easy here. Maybe we would want to have this be an interface event actually, so we don't need to do any casting inside the ability. But yeah, we'll do it the simple way in this case. So let's see, where was I here? Maybe we should close all of this stuff, make it a bit simpler again. So instead of getting damage, we want to get the damage through our function from the owning unit. But we'll need, yeah, like I just said, we'll need to do some casting here. We'll cast to the Heroes of Might and Magic unit, and let's just say that in this game we'll say it's a safe assumption that we're always using these units. So I'm not going to bother with what happens if we don't have that unit, or I can just, fail out. I would probably want to print some sort of warning or error if we were actually doing it like this. But yeah, let's keep it relatively simple. So now in the owning unit, we want to then get our stack damage. Oh no, I mean in this unit. I just paste nodes without thinking. There, get stack damage. Like that. And we can just paste this into the source unit as well. And for the target unit, we can keep this. Oh, this got messy quick. Let's just give us some space. There we are. Okay, so we're getting stack damage instead of damage and sending this into our attack target. So if we try this out now, so we will want to set the ability to our custom ability here. We can do this manually in each of these units, but let's do this as the default in our unit here. We can even do it as the default in this unit actually. So in the parent unit. So default ability, we'll find our new one. There we are, and let's see if it works. So we should kill this guy instantly, I think. Yeah, we did. Let's reduce the damage of these guys a bit now. We can set it back to the default, which is 35, I believe. There, 35. So now we should do 35 times 5 damage, which is enough to almost get him down to 3. And yeah, he's down to 2. And if we wait until it's this guy's turn, he should not do as much damage now to these other guys. Yeah, as we see, since there are just 2 of these units, he does substantially less damage. So now we have the part working where we're doing damage based on the size of our unit stacks. So then I think there's just one thing missing, and that's counterattacks. So let's do that next. You know, come to think of it, there's one other like classic Heroes of Might and Magic thing we might want to do, even also because it's one thing that people always keep asking me. Let's have some random damage for these units. So if we go to our HoMM unit here, instead of just having a damage variable here, we'll make a like damage range, and I can make this like a vector 2D maybe. Is there like a pair integer or something? Yeah, maybe there is, but I'll use a vector 2D, I think. Might be a better fit, but this should do the job. I'll make it instance editable, exposed on spawn. So a damage range. So let's say that we, instead of 35, we have a damage range of then, you know, 30 to 60. So then we have this damage range. Split this, and we, instead of taking our damage, we will get a random number, a random float in range, and the range will be between our minimum and maximum here, and we use this for our damage instead. So I mean, this won't work perfectly, I think. I'm not exactly sure how it works in Heroes of Might and Magic, but I suspect it isn't like this, because now all the units in the stack will do the same amount of damage. So like all of them will do 30, or all of them 40, or all of them 60. So you won't have the full range of possibilities as if each unit had their own random thing going. But yeah, this should work fine for our example. Okay, so now we should have some random damage. We can check this out because we're using this. This is the only place we're using the damage here. I should check that, by the way, so we don't have any surprises. No results, really? That is surprising. Something wrong with my search function here. Let's see, I'm pretty sure there should be one place at least. Yeah, here we're overriding this. So yeah, okay, so my find is not working. Let's just hope that this works well then. This is how we're using it at this point, which should be the relevant one, and we can check out if we have random damage. If I attack this guy with 5, then we're down to 3 and a bit. This guy, yeah, we did a bit more damage, as you can see. So there is some random damage going on here, so that's good. One thing you have to really keep in mind when you deal with random damage, by the way, this has been one of the most common issues I've seen reported on in the support thread. Now there's no problem since we're inputting it here, but if we look into the attack target here, then we will see yeah, and modify health. So it isn't actually that much of a problem because we're doing everything inside modify health. So if we look here, I keep stepping into new functions, but now we're back to the modify health function. And you see that we have the change in health here, and this is what we're inputting, right? This is not actually what we're using for our unit now, but yeah, it doesn't matter for explaining this point. So if you went in here, and instead of getting the value from here, we got actually a random damage value here, and we input it into our action. And then we also got a random damage value here, and we input it into current health. Even though we're using the same range, we might have two different numbers. And then suddenly our action for modifying health is giving us different numbers than the one for setting the health within the unit. And then strange things might happen, like the unit is still alive according to the gameplay logic, but according to the actions, it has actually died. So we see the unit die, and the puppet disappears, but the unit is still there as an invisible unit that keeps on playing. Or we could have it go the other way, where the unit dies, so it's gone according to the gameplay logic, but the puppet is still standing left. So be aware of that when you're dealing with actions and using random input for both the gameplay logic and modify health. So if I had like a random float here, I would not want to like plug it into here and plug it into here. Instead, I would want to first like promote it to a local variable, and then from the local variable I would input it into these instead. So that way I have stored the variable within here, and now this will always be the same number, because when you use an impure function like this one, every time you access it, it is called again. That both can affect the performance, and it will also give you a new random number each time. So that's just something to be aware of. So I'm just Control-Zing my way out of here, and that was a digression, but it should hopefully be a helpful one. Okay, good. So that's it for random damage. Now let's go to our last feature, which is counterattacks. So we can also do this, in many ways we could do this, but doing it within the ability here seems like a fine place as any. So this is attack target. Yeah, we're already the place that I want to be, actually. So within our new Heroes of Might and Magic ability, we have the attack target, and what happens here is that we spawn an action that does the attack animation, and then we have a modify health, which both actually modifies the health in the gameplay logic, and it cues the actions for showing the change in our health bar, showing the hurt animation, etc. So this is the attack from the target. So the target of this is the target unit, and the source is the source unit. And what is input into this attack target function? You can see that the source unit is the owning unit, the unit that owns this ability. The target unit is the unit that stands on the grid index that we are targeting. So those are the two units. So what we want to do really is to first then have this happen, and then do the opposite. So we want to do it like this, and then afterwards we want to do the same thing. I could also call attack target again, and then with the other ones, but yeah, then we would go into an infinite loop, so yeah, bad idea. We'll just do it like this. And now we want to reverse it. So we want the target to be the source to be the target, and that should cause the attack to go the other way. And here we want the source unit again to be the target. So yeah, there will be some issues with this, and I'll get back to that. But we can at least see if this works. So let's go and attack this guy, and he attacks me back, as you saw. So it happens a bit quick. Bam, and then there, and then we switch instantly. Maybe I want some sort of delay at the end here. In this action, I'll add a small end delay, so we have some time to breathe. And he attacks me back. Oh yeah, the end delay happened before he takes damage. Yeah, so that's not a good place for that. Oh yeah, -1. I want to have that happen after he takes damage, because now we actually added a delay that happened at the end of the attack animation. and then the change in the health bar happens here, and then I had a delay in between, so that doesn't make sense. But we can do a, oh yeah, we actually have a end delay here, which we can use. How handy. But let's pretend we don't have, so I can show if you need a delay at any other point, we can get the action manager and we can queue delay, and I'll put this at a value of 1 second, and now we have a delay queued as an action, and now when he attacks us back, yeah, we see that we have a bit of time before it switches back to another unit. But we also notice this one strange thing here, is that you see that the counterattack did the exact same damage as the attack here in both cases. And this is because in our attack target here, we're using the attack damage that is input into this function for both the attack and the counterattack. So that is of course not what we want. So for then the target unit, we want to then get our stack damage again. So again, we'll have to cast it to the Heroes of Might and Magic one for this. And let's just cast it beforehand. If it's not a Hero of Might and Magic unit, we don't want it to counterattack. Just to make it simple. Then we just return. But if it is, then we want to get the stack damage, and we want to use the stack damage as the attack damage. For the target unit, and that should give us the result we want. Let's see. Yeah, now they're doing different damage, and you would see then that they will be doing less damage when they have less health remaining. So I'm doing quite a bit. Oh yeah, he did more. Maybe got lucky since we have such a wide range. But in this case, at least, now it's just one left. Yeah, he just does very little damage. Good. So this looks all fine and dandy, but I know that there's one remaining issue. We just haven't seen it, and that's what happens if our first attack here kills the target unit, and then the target unit dies, but still the unit tries to perform these attacks. Well, we can see what happens. If I reduce the stack size of this guy so that he dies, just put it down to 1. And let's see. And yeah, everything seems fine here, but if we hit stop, yeah, we got some errors. We can see that they attempted to access the unit, but which is pending kill. So it gives us this error here. We can go and check where this happens. It happens in the attack target function, of course. So as we knew, why didn't I go to, yeah, okay, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's try that again. That was weird. Attack target? Yeah, there we are. Okay. So we'll need to add a check here to see if that unit is still valid and alive before we go for this. So if we cast this and the unit no longer exists, this will already give us an error, right? So I'll check if it's valid. Oops. And if it's not valid, I'll just return. If it is valid, I will check that it's stack size. And yeah, then I'll cast it. Then I'll check its stack size. And I will check that the stack size is greater than 0. At which point we will proceed . And if not, I will return. So I mean, you don't need, strictly speaking, to add these sorts of return nodes everywhere in blueprints, but it's good practice so that it's very clear for you at what point you're actually exiting the function. And it can be helpful while debugging in some cases as well. Okay, so now if we try this again and I attack this 1 health guy, we should not be getting any errors, and we don't. So I'm pretty happy with what we got here. Only problem is that it doesn't really feel like Heroes of Might and Magic yet, does it? So yeah, done with all the interesting stuff here. So now I'm just going to goof around a bit. We'll just get the tiles, get them all away, and then with the grid size I'm going to put it to, I think it's like 11 by 16, or yeah, 16 by 11, so I don't need to rotate these guys. Will that look correctly? Yeah, 16 by 11, like this. Yeah, we really should have our units start like this, right? That's only appropriate. Dragging them one at a time to eke out the time of the video. I'm way over 10 minutes, so no reason to do that. So this looks a bit more Heroes of Might and Magic-y, but I mean, we're at an angle here. We should change the grid camera so we're at the correct angle, right? Grid camera. Let's find our spring arm, and from 30 we put this to 0 degrees. Now we're completely out of side here. Yeah, let's start it at, I guess we'll start it at then 90 degrees. That's wrong, or I guess I mean, we need our player units to be the one facing the other way, right? There we are. Okay, I grew up playing this game, right? So needs to look correct. We also don't want to follow the unit, right? So we'll disable our follow cam. Let's see. Let's uncheck that. Yeah, so we're not following our units. We don't really want to rotate or anything like that either, right? Next, we want to start in the center of our stage. So if we check the event graph of the grid camera, we can see that in setup here, set actor transform is set from this function in the game state. So let's go take a look in the game state, where we have the get camera start transform. Yeah, here's all the stuff where it tries to set it to the location of the first unit. We'll just skip all of that. Just go straight to this part, which should put it in the center of the grid. Yeah, that's a bit high. I should tweak it. But yeah, let's just hard code it. We're doing it live. And oh, yeah, so in the y-axis would be, let's add like 500. Yeah, almost 600. 800. Perfect. Okay, and then we want to have our starting zoom be a bit further out. So let's just get our spring arm. Let's put the target arm length up a bit. Yeah. Good enough. Okay, and if we're moving, yeah, the camera doesn't pan. We can resize, yeah, and we can disable all the scrolling and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, let's put this to 3000. I want to see all the tiles. Really? 3002. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so we have a nice starting position for our combat. So let's have one final duke out before I end the video. Change these guys to be AI controlled. And let's just kick their ass. Okay, storm these guys. Yeah, so might have been a while since I used to play Heroes of Might and Magic. Just ran straight into their attacks. This isn't going well, is it? I really need RNG to be on my side here. Oof. Okay, let's attack the damaged guy at least. Come on. We can do this. It's looking kind of hairy. Yeah, okay, I think we'll need help here. Let's see, I think I remember the old cheat code for Heroes of Might and Magic 2. It's 3, 2, 1, 6, 7. Oh, yeah, it worked. Okay, great. And we should be safe. Since we got our dragons. Yeah, okay, they do massive damage. We'll just finish this with a dragon. Okay. Easy as that. Okay, so that's it for this series of tutorials. It was supposed to be like a quick thing where I answered a question I got in the support thread, but this became a three-parter. But I managed to cover quite a lot of ground, I think, on various things that you can do, but both with the grid UI and with puppets and with changing abilities and all sorts of things. So I hope this has been useful to you, as it has been fun to make. So that will be that for this series of videos. See you in the next one.